working with essential oils for the sacral chakra help us to increase our creative potential. So whether that's creating through art, through song, through drama, but also through libido, through fertility, and through desire generally. The oils for the sacral chakra are all about understanding what we want from life. But when we look at it from a tantric point of view, all of that other stuff is really quite recent learning. The original tantric teachings are that it gives one freedom from one's enemies, the loss of fear of water, status of lord among the yogis. It helps us to speak with eloquence and clarity, and that our words flow like nectar in discourse. And so in this video we're going to talk about the best oils for the sacral chakra, but also other oils to help to blend with that to get the best effect that you're looking for. So if you haven't seen me before, I'm Elizabeth Ashley, the Secret Healer. I'm a clinical aromatherapist with over 30 years experience and a Melissa Bee priestess. And over the next few days, I'll be releasing several different videos that will help you to tap into different aspects of the teaching about the sacral chakra. But first, let's go to the bit that everybody wants to know about libido and desire and increasing one's sexual energy. Well, for those oils, we would definitely want to be tapping into ones that will help to balance the hormones. Now, my oil of choice for the sacral chakra is ylang ylang essential oil. Everything about ylang ylang is about balance. So about balance in one's emotions. So very good if somebody has PMT or is going through the menopause, but any kind of stress generally, ylang ylang is really, really helpful. If we look at scientific studies, we can see, or scientific studies done on men, we can see that ylang ylang helps to reduce heart rate. It reduces blood pressure. It reduces the speed that we breathe. And so this is a really great oil for relaxing, but also it has beautiful and aphrodisiac qualities. I'd also choose jasmine. Jasmine is really good if somebody has inhibitions about sex. Perhaps if they are frigid, for example, for some reason. Horrible word, but if somebody has no libido or feels like they don't want to have sex, or they want to have sex or feel like they can't have sex, maybe because of sexual abuse, maybe because of rape, or any number of reasons can make that happen, perhaps long-term illness. So jasmine is very good at helping somebody to relax from their worries and to sink into that sexual aspect of themselves. And we'll talk about that in another video later on in the week, about the dark feminine, how we use or we work with the spirit of jasmine essential oil, jasmine absolute, to bring forth that from the shadows that has been pushed down by societal expectations. For libido in a man, I would always send somebody to go and find some sandalwood oil. There are lots of different sandalwood oils that you can get your hands on, because they are, some of them are endangered now. I like Australian sandalwood spicata, with Santalum spicata, which is lovely. But really, whatever sandalwood that you can get your hands on. I know people really like Hawaiian sandalwood too. Another oil that I really rate for libido, but particularly in men, if men have a loss of sexual desire, or maybe they're feeling like they don't want to have sex because they're having some kinds of issues with sexual dysfunction. An oil that people don't really talk about very often is argawwood. Now, argawwood you might see also listed as oud, O-U-D-H or O-U-D, which is from the Middle East. And it's the basis for all the beautiful Middle Eastern perfumes. And argawwood trees have problems with sustainability because the oil is taken from the heartwood of the tree, and the tree has to be around about 60 years old, and the limbs have to have fallen on the ground if they've been hit by lightning, for instance, and the beautiful deep oil comes from the dying heartwood. So that is a problem with sustainability. However, around about 10 years ago, it was discovered that if they injected a herbal mechanism into young trees, it made them kill the heartwood early on. And so they do that at around about 6 years old now, as well as leaving lots of trees to grow on. So the work being done for argawwood is really important. And if you can find argawwood oil, that is a beautiful one for male libido and male sexuality, and it will really support that aspect of the sacral chakra. The other ones that I really like for women, won't go too much into them. Incidentally, if you have a look on the Fellowship of Essential Oils playlist, I'll put the link for you. You can find really detailed videos on all of these, including safety and contraindications. But Damiana essential oil is like the courtesan, I always say. It's very seductive. It's a very pretty smell. Same applies for tuberose. Both of them are heady and narcotic, like jasmine is, that you almost feel like you're being seduced into sensuality. So if you are doing this kind of work with the sacral chakra, and if you're serious about committing to putting some effort into getting that energy, what's great is to spend a few days swapping between the different oils. Get to know how it feels to have them in your system. Of course, some of these are expensive, so you might want to just pick one or two that you think, that's what I'm going to use. And actually, incidentally, next month I have a piece of work coming out that will teach you how to really blend all these things together, all the units of not just essential oils, but breathing techniques, acupressure points, crystals, music, metals, to make the most incredible blend for the sacral chakra. All of the energetics mapped together to make it absolutely pinpoint precision. So if that's something that you might be interested in, have a look in the description. There's a mailing list opened to collect names so that you can be first to know when it comes out. It's called the Sensorium approach. Next, essential oils for the sacral chakra have got to be really about hormonal support. If we're thinking about fertility, we're not only thinking about libido, we want the hormones to be working as well as they possibly can. And one thing that will really scupper hormonal support is long-term stress. So, but also hormonal conditions. So the cycles, the menstrual cycles, the menopausal cycles, but in men particularly stress. So let's think about those in turn. So again, when we're thinking about hormonal support and hormonal balance, we're going to go ylang ylang. It's got to be your first choice in these things. But one that's really great for estrogen or estrogen is, well, there's several really. My favorite would be rose. And remember, this is a center of sensuality, and rose is the divine feminine through the archetype of Aphrodite, you know. So this is, and Aphrodite is the rose. Rose is Venus. So this is a definite oil to go for. And as I say, it will balance estrogen, and it's really good for any kind of menstrual support, any kind of menstrual pain. The other one that I would recommend having a look at would be clary sage. So clary sage has a antispasmodic nature, so particularly if somebody has menstrual cramps, really helpful. But it is it mimics estrogen in the system. So even if there's low levels of estrogen, like when we're going through menopause, the body thinks there is estrogen. So this is a really helpful oil. And incidentally, we might be doing sacral chakra work at any time through our female lives, through our male lives, but ylang ylang, rose, clary sage, and actually anything that I'm going to talk about in this section now, there's going to be a few, we're not going to use that in pregnancy, please. These are oils that really concentrate on messing with the hormonal balance, influencing it, trying to move it how we want it. But the body really needs a very specific hormonal state to sustain pregnancy. So we wouldn't touch any of the oils in this section during pregnancy. The other oils that are very good to work as like phytoestrogens, and I'll use that in inverted commas because they're not strictly speaking phytoestrogens, slightly different, but they do work in a way that the body feels like there is estrogen passing through it. The first one is fennel. The next one is aniseed, and as I say, clary sage as well. Both of those are really good for helping to lift estrogen. And while we can think about testosterone, and we can think about progesterone in terms of hormonal balance, even for men, to get a balance of estrogen when the libido is off can be really helpful. So I do have a video about this somewhere in my rose compilation. There's a beautiful scientific trial that was done with rose around about, I think, 2015. It was done between Switzerland and Iran, and it was done on a number of men, I think 60 men, who were on SSRIs and were suffering from sexual dysfunction because of them. SSRI, selective serotonin reuptake inhibitors, absolutely fantastic for depression, but the side effect of that is to really scupper sexuality in men, which to me just feels like we're going back the same depression way. So the big pharma are very aware of this and are looking for ways to get around that. And they did a trial with citronellol, which is a constituent of rose oil. Rose oil is pretty much made of it completely. And over 8 weeks, these men were given I think 2 doses of citronellol a day. So bear in mind, it's not the essential oil, it's in the essential oil. And also they were taking it orally in large amounts, when you are using essential oils, you're likely to be using them topically or inhalation. So it's not exactly like for like. But what they were able to show was after 4 weeks of using this, all of the men felt happier. They all felt that their depression had disappeared. After 8 weeks, most of them said that, well, all of them had said they'd seen an improvement in their sexual function, but most said that their erections were more reliable, that they no longer had problems with delayed ejaculation, and that their libido was better. And so while we talk about rose as being the heart chakra oil and it's feminine, we can definitely also say sacral chakra definitely works on libido, definitely works on sexuality, definitely works on men. So that's a really important aspect. So just to recap, I would say for hormonal support, we're looking at ylang ylang. We're also looking at clary sage. Fennel has a lot of drug interactions, which I won't go into on this video, but I can tell you that you can find them in my other video about fennel, and I'm going to list all of these in the description below. Aniseed, also phytoestrogenic. Now the problem with aniseed is it smells like aniseed. So does fennel, actually. So we're only going to want to use really small amounts of these, and maybe 1% dilution. You might even want to use one of my tricks of doing 1/15 of a drop, which is one of my favorite things to do. If I want the energetics or a subtlety of the essential oil and I think, oh, but it doesn't smell great, I go 1/15 of a drop. So that is 14 drops of carrier oil. I like to use olive oil. So drop, 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 drop. 1 drop of essential oil. And then we use 1 drop of that mix. And so not only do you have this tiny dilution of the chemicals that you want, because that's what they are, they're natural chemicals, but also you have the energetics of the aniseed or the fennel. And in particular with fennels really knows about stamina. And so if there's an issue with, for example, premature ejaculation and you want to keep going longer, or you feel like you just don't want to have sex at the end of the day because you are too tired, just enough, all of that stuff of, I just don't think I can go on any longer, I would always reach for fennel. So that's the next part. Now the sacral chakra, if you look at Tantra, is all about the water energy, and water of course has its own symbolism about adaptability, about fluidity, about rising and falling and being with the moon pulls the tides, but also within our body. And remember that we are 75% water. When water goes out of balance, that can be really problematic. And so all of this falls under the sacral chakra. So my first thing would be to say water works. And by that, I mean genitourinary water works to begin with. And so to support those oils, those functions, even though they are not specifically sacral chakra essential oils, what I would want to do is add some of these to my blend if I was working with the sacral chakra. So I might choose, for example, let's say ylang ylang again, because we've talked about that one. That's a good sacral chakra oil. Or jasmine would be better. Actually, jasmine's a really good oil for the genitourinary system. It's very cooling. And so if somebody has burning issues, very, very cooling. So jasmine is a good one. But what oils are we going to put with it? Well, ones that really work very well on the genitourinary system are cypress. Absolutely fantastic for toning and cooling the system, so the urethra, or any kind of burning systems down there. Now, and obviously you're going to want to be treating the infection with things like tea tree, or manuka, or even myrrh, but actually just working on the system is really good. Other oils that I would be interested in looking at would be juniper and fennel. And incidentally, these are ones where there is too much water. So things like edema in the joints, or bloating when you are due to come on, or bloating generally, really, any kind of retained fluid, those are really fantastic ones. However, because they work very fast on the kidneys, then we don't want to be using those if somebody has actually got a kidney issue. It's too strong. If somebody has got a kidney issue, sounds very strange to say, but I would always use rose. Rose is really supportive to the kidneys. But in terms of flushing out fluids, fennel, juniper, cypress. And again, look at the details below, and that will show you where to go to get the full video about each one of those oils, so you can really drill down on drug interactions and safety. Puffy eyes is another one. So it's strange to say that what's going to be most useful is if you can bring together two therapies. So these systems where the body is holding too much water, or the eyes have become puffy, if you can do a little bit of lymphatic drainage massage on the system, that can be really, really helpful. So you could use fennel or juniper, or you could use cypress. All of those would be really good for puffy eyes, but the best one that I think is angelica root. Fantastic. And incidentally, if you've got puffy eyes, all you need to do, use your fingers and very gently, and really gently, push. You see how it's moving? Push, and it goes down, 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 and the lymphatics enters into the subclavian. So where your clavicle is, your collarbone, enters just down here. So we're going to push. The reason why we're using two fingers is because we're stopping backflow. Like that. Push. And just a couple of days doing that, you'll see that your eyes really improve from puffy eye issues. Another thing that is a sacral chakra issue is dry eyes. And for that, I would always use rose water, or so like a rose hydrosol, or clary sage hydrosol as well. And if you don't know what a hydrosol is, most companies will sell them now. If you make distillation of essential oils, you'll know that the plant matter is in the bottom, steam is pushed through, steam comes round, there's a coil, it cools, and what you have is water in the bottom and essential oil on the top. So for the most part, we deal with the essential oil, but I use really small amounts of essential oil and other watery constituents from the plant that wouldn't be in the essential oil, because oils have to be in the essential oil, in what's left. And we call that either a hydrolat, a hydrosol, or a floral water, or sometimes aromatic waters. And all of those are really good for this kind of thing. And so puffy eyes, dry eyes, really good. The other thing that can be very, very dry with sacral chakra issues is dry mouth. And funnily enough, actually, while I've been doing this work, I've been going, I I've just got this horrible taste in my mouth. It's really, really, really metallic and I can't get rid of it. And in the end I thought, well, I'm just going to get the toothbrush and I'm going to scrub my tongue. And the amount of rubbish that had come off, and I do think it's because I've really been working my sacral chakra and it's come up and it's stayed in my mouth. So toothbrush, really, really clean it and you'll find that that activation really moves. The best treatment I can say for dry mouth is rose water or chamomile tea. And people who are regular to my channel will know that my husband lost all of the top of his mouth to cancer, the inside. And so after radiotherapy, he has no saliva at all in his mouth. So this is something we do a lot, and that's just rinse out the mouth with rose water, and it really helps to just make the mouth feel better, taste better, but it really sort of lubricates the mouth as well. So as I say, those are all sacral chakra issues. So I hope that that has helped you. If you watch tomorrow, mine and Adam's video will come out about the emotional, the mental and the spiritual aspects of the oils. And then over the next few weeks, the next few days, I'll be talking about some bee medicine into ylang ylang, into lemon, and also into jasmine, and some priestess work around those. I got so carried away with my stories, I completely forgot to say to you the whole purpose of this work about working with the chakras is a body of work that I've created called the Sensorium approach to working with essential oils for the chakras, which comes out in September, and then will be followed by Luminous Garments, which is work with the etheric bodies. Now, in Sensorium approach doesn't touch the bee medicine side. That would get way too complicated, but I will be doing lots more bee medicine work. So if you're interested, obviously like and subscribe to the channel, but also in the description there is a link to my email list, which will start sending out purely work to do with spiritual aspects of healing with essential oils. Thank you for watching all the way to the end, and I hope to see you in some of the other videos. Have a look in the description for others to do with essential oils for the sacral chakra.